At this time, I will call the June 8th meeting of the County Commission to order. This meeting is being held pursuant to Executive Order 16 issued by the Governor of the state of Tennessee and is being held electronically due to the need to protect the health, safety, and well-being of the citizenry, and without objections will proceed in this manner. All such members of the committee must be able to hear the chairman and each other. If you cannot hear other members, please notify us immediately. All votes will be done by roll call, and you will speak in a manner to identify yourself. The meeting is available to the public on Public Access TV, and we will be streaming it live on YouTube. At this time, we will have the invocation by Commissioner Chad Story and the Pledge of Allegiance by Commissioner Tom Tunnicliffe.
Thank you. Lord God, thank you for this day that you've made. Thank you for your grace and your mercy as we are not perfect people, but help us extend that same grace and mercy to others during these trials and pandemics. Show us the way to better understand one another and find peace through the chaos and through truth through the confusion. Lord, as we walk through these days of struggle and uncertainty, I pray we are reminded that we are not alone, that your divine spirit is here for our protection, and our brothers and sisters in Christ are here for our support. May we shine the light you give each one of us to be a beacon of hope for others and give all the glory and honor to your Son, Jesus Christ. Lord, grant us the wisdom and discernment as we carry out the business of the day, that the decisions we make empower the people of this county to help us all make the most of the opportunities you provide each and every one of us. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States. Everyone else there?
Yeah.
I'm used to everyone jumping in. Let's try this again. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States
of America,
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation,
under God,
indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
At this time, we will have roll call. Jeff, would you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Aiello. Commissioner Alsbrooks.
Commissioner Alsbrooks present.
Commissioner Beal.
Commissioner Beal present.
Commissioner Beathard.
Commissioner Beathard here.
Commissioner Chalfant.
Commissioner Chalfant here.
Commissioner Herbert.
Herbert here.
Commissioner Hester. Commissioner Hudson. Commissioner Dwight Jones.
Commissioner Jones here.
Commissioner Ricky Jones.
Commissioner Ricky Jones here.
Commissioner Landrum.
Mr. Landrum here.
Commissioner Lawrence. Commissioner Little.
Commissioner Little here.
Commissioner Lathers.
Commissioner Lathers here.
Commissioner Mason.
Commissioner Mason is here.
Commissioner Morton. Commissioner Nations.
Commissioner Nations here.
Commissioner Rainey.
Commissioner Rainey here.
Commissioner Smith.
Commissioner Smith here.
Commissioner Story.
Commissioner Story here.
Commissioner Sturgeon.
Commissioner Sturgeon told me she was going to be late.
Okay. Commissioner Tunnicliffe.
Commissioner Tunnicliffe here.
Commissioner Webb.
Commissioner Webb here.
Commissioner Williams.
Commissioner Williams present.
Okay. thought at one time I saw Commissioner Lawrence. Is he here? I maybe didn't hear him.
Commissioner Lawrence here.
Okay, thank you, sir. Okay, so with that, I see 21 present and 3 absent. Commissioner Aiello, Commissioner Hudson, and Commissioner Sturgeon absent.
Like I said,
I believe Commissioner Aiello is present.
Okay, thank you. So 22 present then.
like I said, Commissioner Sturgeon contacted me and said she was going to be about 15 minutes late. Next, we have approval of the minutes. These were emailed out to us. At this time, we will entertain a motion for approval of the minutes.
I make a motion, we approve those minutes. Commissioner Rainey.
Commissioner Story, second.
Okay. Are there any additions or corrections? Hearing none, we will attempt a voice vote on this. I think, is that okay, Jeff? Just do a voice vote? Or do we need to do unanimous consent, or how we need to do this one? Okay. Not getting an answer, so we
You
will
can do a voice vote.
Thank you. If you are in favor of the approval of the minutes, vote aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. It's approved unanimously. At this time, I'll ask if there are no objections, we will do away with citizens communication, since we have no way of having that at this meeting. Are there any objections with doing away to citizens communications? All right. Hearing no objections, and we will move on. Communications and messages. I don't think I have any announcements on this one. So at this time, I will call reports of county officers, and Rogers Anderson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Glad to be here tonight. Glad to see everyone. I'll call upon Nina to kind of give us a snapshot of the financial picture. Nina?
Before Nina starts, if I could jump in here, the chair, did you want to, under communications, go ahead and address the late files and whether or not there are objections to the late files?
You know, I completely forgot to make that note. Yes, I do. Thank you. I didn't write that down. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 late filed resolutions. Resolution 6-20-26, 6-20-27, 6-20-28, 6-20-29, 6-20-30, 6-20-31, 6-20-32. These were all included in your packet. We also have resolution 6-20-33, which should have been emailed to you also as a late file today. Are there any objections with hearing these on the agenda? Hearing no objections, these will be added to the agenda. Now on to report of county officers. Thank you.
Again, Mr. Chairman and County Commission, I will ask Nina to give us a snapshot of the financial conditions of the county.
You have in your packet this evening the budget report from April. For that month, we are tracking pretty well on track. We are watching our revenues. Going to be watching those very closely through the end of June. Right now, some of those estimates we're watching are the business tax, the sales tax, some of those larger taxes that are state shared. Watching those very closely. You have your April privilege tax report. For the month of April, we collected a little over $892,000. That is down slightly. Again, this is a revenue source that we are tracking very closely. Mr. Horn and his department is starting to do some additional analysis on this so that we can watch this and the impact fee as we move forward. Also in your packet is the April Cool Springs Conference Center report. There was a shared loss between the county and the city of a little over $32,000. The city officials and the county are going to be meeting with some of the Marriott administrative staff later this week to go over some things that they are beginning to look at. In June, they had one booking that they were able to carry forward with. In July, they have 3. Right now, they are considering to move forward with. The county and the city are participating in costs for limited staffing with the conference center at this time. Also in your packet is the education impact fee. For the month of April, we collected a little over $1.3 million. And that is one of the sources that we are watching very closely as we move forward. That's my reports for this evening.
Are there any?
Go ahead, Tommy.
Are there any questions for Ms. Nina? Okay, thank you, Rogers.
Mr. Chairman, just one other follow-up. Please mark on your calendar tomorrow. We will be having our budget hearing. The Budget Committee has voted unanimously to take the last year's budget, status quo budget. There are some increases built in for growth for schools. That will be tomorrow evening. Should be, since it's not really controversial or anything, it should be through in 5 or 10 minutes unless we have a lot of comments, and I seriously doubt on this year's budget there will be any. Other than that, the county continues to operate at the administrative complexes and all throughout our county at our different buildings we have, from the libraries down to the ball fields. And as many of you know, mostly the social distancing put in of 6 feet. There is no requirement anymore for 10 people or 50 people. It's mostly social distancing here in the county administrative complex. Mrs. Anderson and Jeff are working very hard to catch up on so many of the car registrations that are coming in. It's not perfect, but neither is standing out in the hot sun all day. He's issued a numbered system, which most people don't understand, but he can see so many people each day. He's working on the weekends. He's got people with cell phone. We're just so far backed up, and there'll be some more revisions. But I commend Mrs. Anderson and Jeff for the hard work that they're doing, and it's very difficult for them to get caught up in a time like this. And I want to say publicly that I thank Jeff Mosley and Lisa Carson specifically. They have worked miracles for us during this pandemic, COVID, dealing with the different rulings and the questions coming out of Nashville. All of us have been working long hours, the entire staff, and you'd be very proud of our public safety people and, well, all employees in general. They, for the most part, just really work exceptionally hard and long hours to get it all done. That's it, Mr. Chairman. I'll answer any questions you might have.
Okay, I think I see well, somebody's television, I think, is coming on.
I see Mrs. Sturgeon, Commissioner Sturgeon's come on, Tommy.
I believe Commissioner Hudson has also joined the call.
All right. Commissioner Sturgeon, Commissioner Hudson, can y'all hear us now? Mr. Sturgeon texted me that she was having trouble getting volume.
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, we've got you, Commissioner Hudson. Commissioner Sturgeon, have you got us now? I see Commissioner Sturgeon. I see her mic is muted. Can you hear us now, Commissioner Sturgeon?
This is fine.
Okay, so we will keep going. I don't know how to help Miss Commissioner Sturgeon if she can't hear us.
Mr. Chairman, this is Rogers again. May I bring up one other thing?
Yes, sir.
You mentioned one of the late file resolutions, the number 33. It is a resolution that it will be at the very end of this program because we had to hurriedly put it together this weekend that needs to be addressed. I understand it may not be sent out, but it's being mailed out to you now. This has to do with our animal center. And so if you don't have any objections, you didn't earlier, this certainly needs to be here to be heard tonight.
Okay, so the commissioners need to be sure to check their emails if they have not gotten it, to be sure to get a copy of it, because we will be voting on it tonight unless we get 2 objections. So,
Mr. Chairman, I have a question for the mayor.
okay, go ahead.
Mayor, I don't know if Christy Ransom is on here or not this evening, but I just had a question about her email to us this afternoon. What is the rationale behind TDEC no longer wanting to oversee the construction of alternative sewer systems?
Mr. Chairman, let me see if Christie's on here. I don't think she's on here. Diane, can you look on that call list and see?
I'm looking, but I don't believe she was planning to join because she didn't have any business on the agenda.
Is Joe here?
She is not on the call.
So let me try to answer it for you the best of my ability. This bill is being pushed to eliminate those systems. We're being told in Nashville by the Home Builders Association, specifically being driven that less regulations are better for people. Of course, in this particular case, that would severely hamper us. And we'd be, it's not just us, it's several counties across the state. But there is a real strong push to get that thrown through the House side. The Senate still stands fast. They're only going to deal with the COVID-19 budget, results of the COVID budget. However, if they get into conference calls, a lot of things can happen. I would encourage you, Commissioner, to reach out to your representatives, let them know that that's not a good thing for Williamson County to eliminate the decentralized systems that we've got. That puts 2 things. If TDEC, if they follow this rule and strips it out from underneath TDEC, that falls strictly on the backs of local counties to have to implement an oversight and plan accordingly for these, and that's really not what we want to do. We want that to stay with TDEC and do their job they're supposed to be doing.
Does that answer your question, Commissioner Lawrence?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Mayor.
Chairman, this is Commissioner Mason. I have a question for the mayor.
All right, go ahead.
Mayor Anderson, as you are aware, or I assume everybody else has received quite a few emails asking about the county seal. I'm just curious about that process. Is that something the county commission even has a position in? Is it done by committee? how would that process, if it was to be considered altered or changed, how would that process even begin?
Great question. Actually, I had that on my list. I know Jeff Mosley's on there. Last week, we asked legal counsel to do some research on that. Diane dug back in the archives, got Jeff Whitby to look at it. It goes back to the 60s. So, Jeff, I'll let you answer the commissioner's specific question, and then you may have follow-up on that. Mr. Mosley?
Yeah, the question is, in 2013, the state passed legislation that, I was trying to get the specific law, but in 2013, it was amended in 2016 and 2018. Any memorial that is public property, including artwork owned by a public entity that commemorates a historic conflict, which by definition would be also mean the Civil War, cannot be altered unless approval is obtained by the Tennessee Historical Commission after showing by clear and convincing evidence that there's substantial need to alter the artwork, memorial, or plaque, as the case may be. The seal would fall under that as property of the county that would commemorate a historic conflict. So the Tennessee Historical Commission would have to vote by 2/3 vote to any alteration of the county seal at this point as it pertains to the historic conflict, the Civil War. So that's where the decision would ultimately be made. The mayor nor the county commission have the power to alter it. The best you could do, if you chose to do it, would be to ask the historic commission to consider alteration of the county seal. That would have to be done, in our opinion, because the county commission controls county property in that regard. You would have to, at least by majority vote, ask the historic commission to make such a change. And that would require a resolution of the county commission. So if you were going to go down that process, that would be the way you would want to do it. That make sense?
It does, yes. This is Commissioner Mason. Thank you. I just was curious about the process and how it would even begin. So it sounds like it originates in the county commission, meaning if we were to start or do that process and have a suggestion, we would have to approve it per resolution, and then it would be up to the Historical Society to ultimately approve whatever suggestion we had.
Yeah, the State Historic Commission would have to vote by 2/3 to alter it, and then it would come back to you for approval of whatever alteration they considered appropriate.
All right, great. Thank you very much.
Are there any other questions? Rogers, you have anything else?
Mr. Chairman, I don't have anything else. You've got a long agenda, and I'll let other people have at it unless they've got questions.
All right, Director Golden.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. To the mayor's most recent comment about it being a long agenda, we've certainly done our share to contribute to that long agenda. We have a number of items that are end of the year items that you consider regularly. Plus, we have a couple related to budget issues that have become apparent as a result of COVID-19. And it's extremely rare, and I can't recall a time where I've participated in answering questions and serving you all, where we actually have some late filed resolutions proposed to you as a result of a late board meeting where we're trying to close out our fiscal year, this unusual year. I did want to echo what the mayor has said about the county departments. I've been in the office a lot, and it is incredible what the clerk's offices are doing in serving the community. So I want everyone to know that the schools have seen that too. For our part, we are working very hard ourselves on planning for the possibilities of school. What we may be facing this fall. We're just almost exactly 2 months from the opening of school. August 7th is our first day. Our number one priority is to have school on campuses. The reality is there's no true substitute for almost every student to actually have school on campus and all that entails. But at the same time, we have to prepare for the possibility that the physical conditions are such that we need to do something different. So we are also planning for us to have remote school in the event that becomes necessary based on the restrictions that may exist from our health authorities. With that being said, I do want to let you know that Leslie Holman, our CFO, and Mark Samuels, our Assistant Superintendent for Operations, are both here with me as we hit the items on your agenda.
Are there any questions of Director Golden? All right, thank you, Jason. Moving on, the hospital report. Do we have anybody from the hospital on here tonight? Don't think I saw anyone. Okay, Kathy, with the health department, do you have anything to report? You want to report tonight? Are you on here?
I am, sir, and actually not much to report except that we are still very busy out at the Ag Park. Today we tested 277 individuals and another 50 out in Fairview at a camp. We tested a lot of the camp counselors today, so still very, very busy.
Does anyone have any questions for Ms. Montgomery?
Mr. Chairman, may I ask a question? This is Commissioner Lathers.
Yes, go ahead, please.
Thank you so much. Director Montgomery, first of all, thank you so much for your incredibly professional and tireless work. I was just curious if you've heard anything about antibody testing. Is there any update to that?
Commissioner, no ma'am, we have not heard anything from the state. We're still waiting on guidance of whether or not that's going to happen, but to date, we have not heard anything from the state health department about doing antibody testing at this time.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions?
Mr. Chairman, I have a question for Kathy.
All right, go ahead, please.
Kathy, first of all, I do want to commend you for the tremendous job you've done. I know you and your department have worked extremely hard for the last 2 months to 10 weeks, and it's been a lot thrown at you. So really appreciate the effort that you've put in. It's been tremendous on behalf of the county. And so I'm just wondering, what are you seeing now in terms of testing as far as the relationship between the number of people tested and actual people testing positive? Has that dropped off dramatically in the last few weeks?
Unfortunately, it has not. The data that we've gotten recently, as of today even, we're starting to see, since things started opening up a little bit, we've actually started to see a small trend upwards in the number of people that are testing positive. And with that naturally comes a lot of contact tracing and so forth. We're in the process right now because we are getting ready to lose our National Guard. They're getting ready, their orders are getting ready to end, and the state has executed an agreement where it's a temporary contract agreement where we can hire some staffing to kind of take over our COVID operations, because the expectation is that we're going back to the clinic to continue to continue doing the things that we do in public health every day. So we are in the process right now of interviewing individuals to go on a 180-day contract to help us with those operations. But right now we are continuing to test until we have further guidance from the state health office and from the governor.
Thank you. Any other questions? Seeing none, thank you, Ms. Kathy. Are there any other department heads or committees that wish to report at this time? Hearing none, moving on with elections and appointments. Again, these will be done by voice vote, I guess. Are we doing these by voice vote?
Yes, you can do them by voice vote, but you need to do each committee or authority separately.
Authority separate, yes. All right, got that. And this is not unanimous consent yet, is it?
Correct.
Okay.
If there is a negative, we will need to do a roll call in order to ascertain where they were, but.
All right. Everybody understand that we will do this by voice vote, and if we have a no vote, then we will have to turn around and do a voice vote. For the Sports Authority, term expiring Paul Jeter and Steve Smith, nomination Paul Jeter and Steve Smith. Entertain a motion.
So moved, Commissioner Webb.
Story.
Second, Commissioner Nations.
We have a Commissioner Webb with the motion, Commissioner Nations with the second. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Hearing none, it passes. Next, under Convention and Visitor Bureau, 3-year term expiring on 6/23. Term expiring, Matt Lahiff, Steve Smith, and Paul Webb. Nomination, Matt Lahiff, Steve Smith, and Paul Webb. Entertain a motion.
Lathers, move for approval.
Commissioner
Nations,
Osborne,
second.
Commissioner Lathers, the motion, Commissioner Nations, the second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It passes. Equalization Board with a 2-year term expiring in 5/22. Term expiring is Stan Tyson. Nomination is Tim McLaughlin, and we have a new alternate position. This is a new position in anticipation of the upcoming appraisal, and there will be a lot more activity. David Byram, entertain a motion.
Commissioner Story, motion to approve.
Second, Mr. Lawrence.
Commissioner Story, the motion, Commissioner Lawrence, the second. Are there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
It passes. Independent Audit Committee, 3-year term expiring on 6/23. Term expiring Paul Bowen. Nomination Paul Bowen. Entertain a motion.
Commissioner Osborne, so moved.
Is there a second?
Ricky Jones, second.
Commissioner Osbrook's the motion, Commissioner Jones the second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none, it passes. Library Board of Trustees, 3-year term expiring in 6/23. Dolores Bratton, term expiring. Nomination Dolores Bratton. Entertain a motion.
Move for approval, Commissioner Webb.
Second, Commissioner Nations.
All right, Commissioner Webb, the motion, Commissioner Nations, the second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? That passes. Before we move on with the consent agenda, you are all emailed. Jeff Mosley, our attorney, emailed out a thing about unanimous consent, and I would like to read it at this time. This will be done by roll call. This will consist of individual voice votes unless otherwise noted. Some routine and non-controversial matters may be subject to a motion for adoption by unanimous consent, with the role of each such approval being reflected in the minutes as a yay vote for each individual member. If there is a single nay vote or abstention, the vote will be taken by individual verbal response. The chair will not entertain a motion for unanimous consent in his discretion if the matter does not rise above routine business or if legal counsel recommends calling of the individual members. Are there any questions or objections for us using this procedure? What it is we will use, we have several of these that are just routine business that we will ask for unanimous consent. We will do a voice vote just like we did on these nominations. If we get a no vote or an abstention, we will have to do a roll call vote. Some of these we will do a roll call vote on anyway. I will announce with the title if it is subject to unanimous consent or not. then the person making, who signed the resolution, when he makes the motion, will make his motions as subject to unanimous consent. Have I got all that correct?
Yes, you're correct, Mr. Chair. And in addition, I would point out that if you don't want to be listed as an aye vote, you need to make clear that you are either voting in the negative or an abstain on those routine matters. When you're doing a roll call, obviously each individual commissioner will be called upon to vote, but when we're doing the unanimous consent, you can object to the unanimous consent and cause a roll call, or you can vote negative or abstain, and it will cause a roll call vote. So otherwise, it'll be listed in the minutes as you voting as an individual commissioner in the affirmative.
All right. Do we have any questions about this before we get started? I am not hearing any. Next on our agenda is the consent agenda. The consent agenda is eligible for unanimous consent, and I will entertain a motion.
Commissioner Webb, so moved.
I heard Commissioner Webb with the motion. Is there a second?
Ricky Jones, second.
Commissioner Jones, a second. This is for unanimous consent. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, the consent agenda passes. Now, moving on with the regular agenda, Resolution 6-20-2 will be a roll call vote. Resolution approving and amending the 2019-20 general purpose school budget by $600,000 for additional special education expense revenues to come from fund balance. Commissioner Tunnicliffe?
So move. Move for approval, I'm sorry. God, tired.
Commissioner Story, second.
All right, Commissioner Tunnicliffe, the motion, Commissioner Story, the second. School board was 12-4-0 against. Education committee was 6-4-0 against. Budget committee was 5-4-0 against. An explanation, please, Commissioner Tunnicliffe.
I will rely on Mr. Golden if he is available to speak to that. Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is a end of the year budget item that we bring to you typically every year related to special ed and attorney's fees expenses. It's a very unpredictable budget. To give you a little bit of perspective, this is a little bit more than last year, but less than the expense 2 years ago. So Ms. Holman budgets a small amount, and then we come to you at the end of the year based on the details related to what we've experienced over the course of the year.
Are there any questions? I'm not hearing any. Call the roll, please, Jeff.
Commissioner Aiello,
Aiello, yes.
Commissioner Allsbrooks,
Commissioner Osbrooks, yes.
Commissioner Bill,
Commissioner Bill, yes.
Commissioner Bethard,
Commissioner Bethard, yes.
Commissioner Chalfant, Commissioner Chalfant, Commissioner Herbert,
Herbert, yes.
Commissioner Hester,
Hester, yes.
Commissioner Hudson,
Commissioner Hudson, yes.
Commissioner Dwight Jones,
Commissioner Jones, yes.
Commissioner Ricky Jones,
Commissioner Jones, yes.
Commissioner Landrum,
Landrum, yes.
Commissioner Lawrence,
Lawrence, yes.
Commissioner Little,
Commissioner Little, yes.
Commissioner Lathers,
Lathers, yes.
Commissioner Mason, Commissioner Morton,
Morton, yes.
Commissioner Nations,
Nations, yes.
Commissioner Rainey,
Commissioner Rainey, yes.
Commissioner Smith,
Commissioner Smith, yes.
Commissioner Story,
Commissioner Story, yes.
Commissioner Sturgeon,
Commissioner Sturgeon, yes.
Commissioner Tunnicliffe,
Commissioner Tunnicliffe, yes.
Commissioner Webb,
Commissioner Webb, yes.
Commissioner Williams.
Williams, yes.
And Chairman, I did not hear Commissioner Chalfant. Commissioner Chalfant?
Bert, are you still on here? I talked to you earlier. I am not hearing. We must have lost him.
Okay. So with that, I have 23 yes and 0 no, and 1 out. Absent.
All right. Resolution passes. Resolution 6-20-3 will be a roll call vote. Resolution appropriating and amending the 2019-20 general purpose school operating budget by $70,000 for property insurance claims, revenues to come from fund balance. Commissioner Tunnicliffe?
Move for approval.
Commissioner Hester, second.
Commissioner Tunnicliffe, the motion. Commissioner Hester, the second. The school board was 12-4-0 against. Education committee was 6-4-0 against. Budget committee was 5-4-0 against. Explanation, please.
This is just covering a bit of the insurance claims that have come in this year that have exceeded projections.
All right. Do we have any questions? Seeing none, I call the roll, please, Jeff.
Commissioner Aiello? Commissioner Aiello? Commissioner Allsbrooks?
Commissioner Osbrooks, yes.
Commissioner Beal?
Commissioner Bill, yes.
Commissioner Bethard?
Bethard, yes.
Commissioner Chalfant? Commissioner Herbert?
Herbert, yes.
Commissioner Hester?
Hester, yes.
Commissioner Hudson?
Commissioner Hudson, yes.
Commissioner Dwight Jones?
Commissioner Jones, yes.
Commissioner Ricky Jones?
Commissioner Ricky Jones, yes.
Commissioner Landrum?
Landrum, yes.
Commissioner Lawrence?
Lawrence, yes.
Commissioner Little?
Little, yes.
Commissioner Lathers?
Lathers, yes.
Commissioner Mason? Commissioner Mason? Commissioner Morton?
Yes.
Commissioner Nations?
Nations, yes.
Commissioner Rainey?
Commissioner Rainey, yes.
Commissioner Smith?
Commissioner Smith, yes.
Commissioner Story?
Story, yes.
Commissioner Sturgeon?
Sturgeon, yes.
Commissioner Tunnicliffe?
Commissioner Tunnicliffe, yes.
Commissioner Webb?
Commissioner Webb, yes.
Commissioner Williams?
Williams, yes.
Okay, I did not hear Commissioner Mason. I know she was on there a second ago.
Commissioner Mason is a yes.
Okay, thank you. Probably just didn't hear you. So that's 23 yes, 0 no.
Resolution passes. Next, we have Resolution 6-20-4. This will be a roll call vote. Resolution amending the 2019-20 General Purpose School Fund, Central Cafeteria Fund, and Extended School Program Fund budgets for COVID-19 related expenses, revenues to come from FEMA funds and fund balance. Commissioner Tunnicliffe?
Move for approval.
Story, second.
Commissioner Tunnicliffe, the motion. Commissioner Story, the second. School board was 12-4-0 against. Education committee was 6-4-0 against. Budget committee was 5-4-0 against. Explanation, please, Commissioner Tunnicliffe.
Yeah, the cafeteria fund is gone over due to COVID expenses. And luckily, we'll be getting some money from FEMA to cover these funds.
Are there any questions? Hearing none, call the roll, please, Jeff.
Commissioner Aiello?
Aiello, yes.
Commissioner Allsbrooks?
Yes.
Commissioner Beal?
Bill, yes.
Commissioner Bethard?
Beathard, yes.
Commissioner Chalfont, Commissioner Herbert,
Herbert, yes.
Commissioner Hester,
Hester, yes.
Commissioner Hudson,
Commissioner Hudson, yes.
Commissioner Dwight Jones,
Commissioner Jones, yes.
Commissioner Ricky Jones,
Commissioner Ricky Jones, yes.
Commissioner Landrum,
Landrum, yes.
Commissioner Lawrence,
Lawrence, yes.
Commissioner Little,
Little, yes.
Commissioner Lathers,
Lathers, yes.
Commissioner Mason,
Commissioner Mason, yes.
Commissioner Morton,
Morton, yes.
Commissioner Nations,
Nations, yes.
Commissioner Rainey,
Rainey, yes.
Commissioner Smith,
Smith, yes.
Commissioner Story,
Story, yes.
Commissioner Sturgeon,
Sturgeon, yes.
Commissioner Tunnicliff,
Tunnicliff, yes.
Commissioner Webb,
Webb, yes.
Commissioner Williams.
Williams, yes.
All right, so I got 23 yes, 0 no.
Resolution passes. Resolution 6-20-5 will be a roll call vote. Resolution appropriating and amending the 2019-20 Central Cafeteria Fund up to $575,000 for payroll costs incurred during COVID-19, revenue to come from other funds. Commissioner Tunnicliff?
Move for approval.
Yes. Second.
Commissioner Tunnicliff, the motion. Commissioner Story, the second. School Board was 12-4-0 against. Education Committee was 6-4-0 against. Budget Committee was 5-4-0 against. Explanation, please.
Yeah, this is for salaries that were paid during the time after school was canceled. There's more detail to this that I would not explain well. So if Mr. Golden would like to address the CARES grant, I would appreciate it.
Sure. As you've all saw in the previous resolution, there are two funds that depend on revenue, both operated, and Leslie Holman may give a better terminology at a deficit. So this is the second of three where we are transferring money we received related to COVID-19 expenditures. This particular one is the CARES Act. It's being distributed by the state, or proposed to be distributed by the state to each local education agency. As an aside, it's based on our Title I numbers. So the number that Leslie has in there is based on the revenue we project we'll receive from the state.
Are there any questions? Hearing none, I assume you're ready to vote. Call the roll, please, Jeff.
Commissioner Aiello,
Aiello, yes.
Commissioner Allsbrooks,
Osbrooks, yes.
Commissioner Beal,
Bill, yes.
Commissioner Beathard,
Beathard, yes.
Commissioner Chalfont, Commissioner Herbert,
Herbert, yes.
Commissioner Hester,
Hester, yes.
Commissioner Hudson,
Hudson, yes.
Commissioner Dwight Jones,
Commissioner Jones, yes.
Commissioner Ricky Jones,
Commissioner Ricky Jones, yes.
Commissioner Landrum,
Landrum, yes.
Commissioner Lawrence,
Commissioner Lawrence, yes.
Commissioner Little,
Little, yes.
Commissioner Lathers,
Others, yes.
Commissioner Mason,
Commissioner Mason, yes. Commissioner Mason, yes. Commissioner Mason, yes.
Jeff.
Commissioner Rainey,
Commissioner Rainey, yes.
Commissioner Smith,
Smith, yes.
Commissioner Story,
Story, yes.
Commissioner Sturgeon,
Sturgeon, yes.
Commissioner Tunnicliff,
Tunnicliff, yes.
Commissioner Webb,
Commissioner Webb, yes.
Commissioner Williams,
Williams, yes.
Commissioner Nations. I'm sorry, I skipped your name.
That's okay, yes.
Thank you. 23 yes, 0 no.
Resolution passes. Resolution 6-20-7 will also be a roll call vote. Resolution appropriating and amending the 2019-20 County General Solid Waste and Highway Fund budgets for expenses related to COVID-19, revenues to come from respective fund balances. Commissioner Webb,
Move for approval.
is there a second?
Second by Rainey.
Commissioner Rainey, the second. The Budget Committee was 5-4-0 against. Explanation, please, Commissioner Webb.
As you can see, this is more of the CARES Act for the COVID to cover some of our expenditures as related to the pandemic.
Are there any questions?
Commissioner Sturgeon has a question.
All right, go ahead, please.
Yeah, tell me if I'm wrong. It looks like the money's coming out of solid waste and the highway fund and the general fund and going to different departments like the sheriff's office and the jail and the health department, correct?
This is Nina Graham. That is correct. When the COVID-19 virus first hit, we started getting expenditures related to that. We set up these line items in each of those departments, some of the major departments that we knew would be expending for the virus, to be able to track those separately. And we should be able to submit these either to FEMA or the CARES Act grants for reimbursement. This is for expenses that we've already incurred in anticipation of those that we may still have through June 30.
Okay, so you're saying that in the future, the county general fund and solid waste and highway should get reimbursed by the federal grants. Is that right?
Yes, whatever we may be eligible for, we can submit that based on these line items.
Thank you, Nina.
Are there any other questions? Hearing none, I assume you're ready to vote. Call the roll, please, Jeff.
Commissioner Aiello,
Aiello, yes.
Commissioner Alsbrooks,
Osbrooks, yes.
Commissioner Beal,
Bill, yes.
Commissioner Bethard,
Bethard, yes.
Commissioner Chalfant, Commissioner Herbert,
Herbert, yes.
Commissioner Hester,
Hester, yes.
Commissioner Hudson,
Hudson, yes.
Commissioner Dwight Jones,
Commissioner Dwight Jones, yes.
Commissioner Ricky Jones,
Commissioner Ricky Jones, yes.
Commissioner Landrum,
Landrum, yes.
Commissioner Lawrence,
Lawrence, yes.
Commissioner Little,
Little, yes.
Commissioner Lathers,
Lathers, yes.
Commissioner Mason,
Commissioner Mason, yes.
Commissioner Morton,
Yes.
Nations,
Nations, yes.
Commissioner Rainey,
Commissioner Rainey, yes.
Commissioner Smith,
Smith, yes.
Commissioner Story,
Story, yes.
Commissioner Sturgeon,
Sturgeon, yes.
Commissioner Tunnicliff,
Commissioner Tunnicliff, yes.
Commissioner Webb,
Commissioner Webb, yes.
Commissioner Williams.
Williams, yes.
All right, 23 yes, 0 no.
Resolution passes. Resolution 6-20-8 is eligible for unanimous consent. Resolution appropriating and amending the 2019-20 Parks and Recreation budget by $275,500, revenues to come from participant fees. Commissioner Webb,
Move for approval by unanimous consent.
Second, Commissioner Hester.
Commissioner Hester the second, Commissioner Webb the motion. Parks and Rec did not meet. The Budget Committee was 5-4-0 against. Explanation, please.
As you can see, because of the pandemic, we've had to refund some participant fees, and so this is a budget amendment to authorize refunding those participation fees with Parks and Recreation.
Are there any questions?
Can I make a point? Yeah, it's actually 257,500, not 275. Correct?
It's 275,500.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair.
257,500, yeah.
Ah.
Are there any other questions? Hearing none, call the, this is unanimous consent. All in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Aye.
Any opposed, say yet nay. Passes unanimously. Resolution 6-20-9 is eligible for unanimous consent. Resolution appropriating and amending the 2019-20 library budget by $5,000. Revenues to come from donations, contributions, and fines. Commissioner Webb?
Move for approval by unanimous consent.
Herbert, second.
I heard Commissioner Herbert the second. Library board was 8-4-0 against. Budget committee was 5-4-0 against. Explanation, Mr. Commissioner Webb.
You can see this is revenues from library funds will be used for additional data processing activity at the library.
Are there any questions? Hearing none, I assume you're ready to vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Passes unanimously. Resolution 6-20-10 is eligible for unanimous consent. Resolution appropriating and amending the 2019-20 excess risk insurance vehicle claims. Revenues to come from insurance recoveries. Commissioner Webb?
Move for approval by unanimous consent.
Second, Commissioner Osbrooks.
Commissioner Osbrooks the second. Commissioner Webb the motion. Purchasing and Insurance Committee was 4-4-0 against. Budget Committee was 5-4-0 against. Explanation, Commissioner Webb.
As you can see, this is for claims that we're going to pay out, and I believe if there are any specific questions, Wayne should be available to answer those. If not, Nina can probably answer those.
Are there any questions? Hearing none, I assume you're ready to vote. All in favor, say aye.
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 I'm sorry. Aye. Opposed,
Aye.
nay. Resolution passes. Resolution 6-20-11 is eligible for unanimous consent. Resolution appropriating and amending the 2019-20 county clerk's budget by $15,000 for additional postage. Revenues to come from unappropriated county general funds. Commissioner Webb?
Move for approval by unanimous consent.
Is there a second?
Second by Rainey.
All right. I heard Commissioner Rainey on the second, Commissioner Webb on the motion. Budget Committee was 5-4-0 against. Explanation, please.
This is the clerk's office. Pandemic, they have an increased number of online registrations. They need more money in the postage budget.
Are there any questions? Hearing none, I assume you're ready to vote. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, nay. Resolution passes. Resolution 6-20-12 will be a roll call vote. Resolution appropriating and amending the 2019-20 capital project funds budget by $450,000 for a pro-rata distribution. Revenues to come from privilege tax. Commissioner Webb?
Move for approval.
Is there a second?
Herbert, second.
Commissioner Webb, the motion. Commissioner Herbert, the second. Budget Committee was 5-4-0 against. Explanation, please.
This is the resolution where we show the revenues for the privilege tax, and then this gets distributed out to the cities, the Franklin, and the Franklin Special School District. Nina will be online for any specific questions.
Anyone have any questions? Hearing none, I assume you're ready to vote. So Jeff, call the roll, please.
Commissioner Aiello,
Aiello, yes.
Commissioner Allsbrooks, Commissioner Bill,
Bill, yes.
Beathard, yes.
Commissioner Chalfont, Commissioner Herbert,
Herbert, yes.
Commissioner Hester,
Esther, yes.
Commissioner Hudson,
Hudson, yes.
Commissioner Dwight Jones,
Dwight Jones, yes.
Commissioner Ricky Jones,
Commissioner Ricky Jones, yes.
Commissioner Landrum,
Landrum, yes.
Commissioner Lawrence,
Lawrence, yes.
Commissioner Little,
Yes.
Commissioner Wathers,
Okay.
Others, yes.
Commissioner Mason,
Commissioner Mason, yes.
Commissioner Morton,
Yes.
Commissioner Nations,
Nations, yes.
Commissioner Rainey,
Commissioner Rainey, yes.
Commissioner Smith,
Smith, yes.
Commissioner Story,
Yes.
Commissioner Sturgeon,
Sturgeon, yes.
Commissioner Tunnicliffe,
Commissioner Tunnicliffe, yes.
Commissioner Webb, Commissioner Williams,
Williams, yes.
and Commissioner Allsbrooks.
Commissioner Osbrooks, yes.
Okay, thank you. 23 yes, 0 no.
We are having trouble hearing. I need to request that everybody please turn your microphones off until you are voting. It's creating a lot of feedback and making it hard to hear. So please turn your microphones off unless you've been called upon or you are voting. So resolution 6-20-12 passes. Resolution 6-20-13 is eligible for unanimous consent. Resolution appropriating and amending 2019-20 Capital Projects Fund budget by $47,800 for Trustees Commission, revenues to come from reserve balance. Commissioner Webb?
Move for approval by unanimous consent.
Hester, second.
Commissioner Hester, the second. Commissioner Webb, the motion. Budget Committee was 5-4-0 against. Explanation, Commissioner Webb.
As you can see, this is collection for the privilege tax and the trustees commission. This is the documentation for approving this to go to the trustee.
Are there any questions? Hearing none, if you're in favor, press your, or if you're in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed, say nay. Resolution passes. Resolution 6-20-15 will be a roll call vote. Resolution appropriating and amending the 2019-20 county attorney's budget by $205,000. Revenues to come from unappropriated county general funds. Commissioner Webb?
Move for approval.
Dwight Jones, second.
Commissioner Dwight Jones, the second. The Budget Committee was 5-4-0 against. Explanation, please.
Due to the pandemic and the unexpected legal expense needed, this is amending the budget for legal services.
Are there any questions? Hearing none, I assume you're ready to vote. Call the roll, Jeff. Did you have a question? Is there a question? All right. Call the roll, please, Jeff.
Commissioner Aiello,
Aiello, yes.
Commissioner Allsbrooks,
Osbrooks, yes.
Commissioner Bill,
Bill, yes.
Commissioner Beathard, Commissioner Beathard,
Beathard, yes.
Commissioner Chalfont, Commissioner Herbert,
Herbert, yes.
Commissioner Hester, Commissioner Hester,
Hester, yes.
Commissioner Hudson,
Hudson, yes.
Commissioner Dwight Jones,
Dwight Jones, yes.
Commissioner Ricky Jones,
Commissioner Ricky Jones, yes.
Commissioner Landrum,
Landrum, yes.
Commissioner Lawrence,
Lawrence, yes.
Commissioner Little,
Little, yes.
Commissioner Lathers,
Lathers, yes.
Commissioner Mason,
Commissioner Mason, yes.
Morton,
Commissioner
yes.
Morton. Okay, thank you. Commissioner Nations,
Nations, yes.
Commissioner Rainey,
Rainey, yes.
Commissioner Smith,
Smith, yes.
Commissioner Story,
Story, yes.
Commissioner Sturgeon,
Sturgeon, yes.
Commissioner Tunnicliff,
Tunnicliff, yes.
Commissioner Webb,
Mr. Webb, yes.
Commissioner Williams.
Williams, yes.
23 yes, 0 no.
Resolution passes. Resolution 6-20-16 will be a roll call vote. Resolution appropriating and amending the 2019-20 General Debt Service Fund by $776,789 for interest payments, revenues to come from undesignated fund balance. Commissioner Webb,
Move for approval.
is there a second?
Second.
I heard Commissioner Hester with the second, Commissioner Webb with the motion. Budget Committee was 5-4-0 against. Explanation, please, Commissioner Webb.
Mr. Chair, this is authorizing the payment of the interest on new debt issued during the year that was not included in the current 2019-20 budget.
Are there any questions? Hearing none, call the roll, please, Jeff.
Commissioner Aiello,
Ella, yes.
Commissioner Allsbrooks,
Commissioner Osbrooks, yes.
Commissioner Beal,
Bill, yes.
Commissioner Beathard,
Beathard, aye.
Commissioner Chalfont, Commissioner Herbert,
Herbert, yes.
Commissioner Hester,
Hester, yes.
Commissioner Hudson,
Hudson, yes.
Commissioner Dwight Jones,
Commissioner Dwight Jones, yes.
Commissioner Ricky Jones,
Commissioner Ricky Jones, yes.
Commissioner Landrum,
Landrum, yes.
Commissioner Lawrence,
Commissioner Lawrence, yes.
Commissioner Little,
Little, yes.
Commissioner Lathers,
Lathers, yes.
Commissioner Mason,
Commissioner Mason, yes.
Commissioner Morton,
Morton, yes.
Commissioner Nations,
Nations, yes.
Commissioner Rainey,
Rainey, yes.
Commissioner Smith,
Smith, yes.
Commissioner Story,
Yes.
Commissioner Sturgeon,
Sturgeon, yes.
Tunnicliff,
Commissioner Tunnicliff, yes.
Commissioner Webb,
Mr. Webb, yes.
Commissioner Williams.
Williams, yes.
23 yes, 0 no.
Resolution passes. Again, we've got several people with their mics on. If you please turn your mics off. Resolution 6-20-17 will be a roll call vote. Resolution appropriating and amending the 2019-20 County General Miscellaneous Budget by $96,775. Revenues to come from unappropriated county general funds. Commissioner Webb,
Move for approval.
Commissioner Dwight Jones, second.
Commissioner Dwight Jones the second. Budget Committee was 5-4-0 against. There was a typo in the heading that is just a typo, so we do not need an amendment for that. Explanation, please, Commissioner Webb.
Due to the pandemic, the business, as we all know, has gone down at the Hotel and Convention Center. And thus, to make sure we have adequate funds in that line item at the end of the fiscal year, this resolution will take care of that. Anyone has any questions on that, Nina can answer the specifics.
Do we have any questions?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, go ahead, please.
thank you. This is Commissioner Lathers. So I'm just confirming that the value is indeed 96,775. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay, thank you.
Are there any other questions? Hearing none, assume you're ready to vote. Call the roll, please, Jeff.
Commissioner Aiello,
Hello, yes.
Commissioner Allsbrooks,
Commissioner Osbrooks, yes.
Commissioner Beal,
Bill, yes.
Commissioner Bethard,
Bethard, yes.
Commissioner Chalfont, Commissioner Herbert,
Herbert, yes.
Commissioner Hester,
Hester, yes.
Commissioner Hudson, Commissioner Hudson.
Hudson, yes.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Dwight Jones,
Commissioner Dwight Jones, yes.
Commissioner Ricky Jones,
Commissioner Ricky Jones, yes.
Commissioner Landrum, Commissioner Landrum,
Yes.
Commissioner Lawrence,
Lawrence, yes.
Commissioner Little,
Little, yes.
Commissioner Lathers,
Lathers, yes.
Commissioner Mason,
Mason, yes.
Commissioner Morton,
Yes.
Commissioner Nations,
Nations, yes.
Commissioner Rainey,
Rainey, yes.
Commissioner Smith,
Smith, yes.
Commissioner Story,
Story, yes.
Commissioner Sturgeon,
Sturgeon, yes.
Commissioner Tunnicliff, Commissioner Tunnicliff, Commissioner Webb,
Commissioner Webb, yes.
Commissioner Williams.
Williams, yes.
23 yes, 0 no.
Resolution passes. Late filed resolution number 6-20-26 is eligible for unanimous consent. Resolution appropriating and amending the general purpose school fund budget by $670,000 for related trustee commission revenues to come from property tax collections. Commissioner Beal?
Chairman, that should be Commissioner Bethard.
Oh, I'm sorry. I wrote down the wrong thing. Commissioner Bethard?
Move for approval.
Commissioner Jones, second.
Commissioner Ricky Jones, a second. Commissioner Bethard, the motion. School board was 12-4-0 against. Budget committee was 5-4-0 against. Explanation, please, Commissioner Bethard. Are you there, Commissioner Bethard? Jason, would you like to go ahead and give us an explanation on this?
Yes, sir. This is the end of the year budget item that we do each year, and some departments do as well, to transfer the appropriate amount to the trustee for trustees commission based on the property tax revenue.
Are there any questions?
Mr. Chair, the motion was not by unanimous consent. We may be able to amend that to go by unanimous consent.
That is, thank you for catching that. Commissioner Bethard, are you there? Brian, are you still online? Can you hear us? He is not responding, so I guess we'll have to do a roll call vote.
It looks like he's muted.
It looked like he had dropped off. I'm not seeing him anymore. Jeff, do you see him?
Yeah, I see a BB for Brian Bethard in between Bobby Cook and call-in user number 2.
We need to move on at this time. We either need to. So I guess Brian will give you one more chance. Brian Beffett, are you there? All right. Jeff, would you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Aiello,
Aiello, yes.
Commissioner Allsbrooks,
Allsbrooks, yes.
Commissioner Beal,
Bill, yes.
Commissioner Bethert, Commissioner Chalfont, Commissioner Herbert,
Herbert, yes.
Commissioner Hester, Commissioner Hester, Commissioner Hudson,
Hudson, yes.
Commissioner Dwight Jones,
Commissioner Dwight Jones, yes.
Commissioner Ricky Jones,
Commissioner Ricky Jones, yes.
Commissioner Landrum,
Landrum, yes.
Commissioner Lawrence,
Commissioner Lawrence, yes.
Commissioner Little,
Commissioner Little, yes.
Commissioner Lathers,
Lathers, yes.
Commissioner Mason, Commissioner Morton, Commissioner Nations,
Nations, yes.
Commissioner Rainey,
Rainey, yes.
Commissioner Smith,
Smith, yes.
Commissioner Story,
Story, yes.
Commissioner Sturgeon,
Sturgeon, yes.
Commissioner Tunnicliff,
Commissioner Tunnicliff, yes.
Commissioner Webb,
Mr. Webb, yes.
Williams.
Williams, yes.
I think I saw Commissioner Bethard back on. Commissioner Bethard,
Commissioner Bethard, yeah, I lost my connection. Bethard, yes.
no problem. And Commissioner Hester, I just didn't hear you. I want to make sure you're still on.
Hester, yes.
Thank you, ma'am. Okay, so 23 yes, 0 no.
Resolution passes. Please file resolution 6-20-27 is eligible for unanimous consent. Resolution appropriating and amending the 2019-20 Trustees Commission in the respective operating funds, revenues to come from fund balance for each respective fund. Commissioner Webb,
Move for approval by unanimous consent.
Second.
who was that on the second?
Herbert.
Budget Committee was 5-4-0 against. Explanation, please, Commissioner Webb.
Mr. Chair, this is again where we're, the resolution appropriating amending the budget to allow for the Trustees Commission.
Are there any questions? Hearing none, I assume you're ready to vote. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, say nay. Hearing none, the resolution passes. Late filed resolution number 6-20-28 is eligible for unanimous consent. Resolution appropriating and amending the 2019-2020 Veterans Court budget by $1,000. Revenues to come from Veteran Court General Sessions budget. Commissioner Webb,
Move for approval by unanimous consent.
Lathers, second.
Commissioner Lathers the second, Commissioner Webb the motion. Budget Committee was 5-4-0 against. Explanation, please, Commissioner Webb.
The Veterans Court needs to make this budget amendment in order to fulfill its contractual obligations.
Are there any questions? Hearing none, if you're in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, say nay. Hearing none, the resolution passes. Late file resolution number 6-20-29 will be a roll call vote. This also has a typo in the title. The resolution should read, the resolution to transfer funds to pay interest on energy system conservation debt. Again, that's resolution to transfer funds to pay interest on energy system conservation debt. Commissioner Webb,
Move for approval.
is there a second?
Rainey, second.
Commissioner Rainey, the second. School board was 12-4-0 against. Budget committee was 5-4-0 against. Explanation, please, Commissioner Webb.
As you can see, this is the energy saving program that we've done, and this is just making the payment.
Are there any questions? Hearing none, call the roll, please, Jeff.
Commissioner Aiello,
Aiello, yes.
Commissioner Allsbrooks,
Allsbrooks, yes.
Commissioner Beal,
Bill, yes.
Commissioner Bethard,
Beathard, yes.
Commissioner Chalfont, Commissioner Herbert, Commissioner Hester,
Hester, yes.
Commissioner Hudson,
Hudson, yes.
Commissioner Dwight Jones,
Dwight Jones, yes.
Commissioner Ricky Jones,
Commissioner Ricky Jones, yes.
Commissioner Landrum, Commissioner Landrum,
Yes.
Commissioner Lawrence,
Lawrence, yes.
Commissioner Little,
Little, yes.
Commissioner Lathers,
Lathers, yes.
Commissioner Mason,
Mason, yes.
Commissioner Morton,
Horton, yes.
Commissioner Nations,
Nations, yes.
Commissioner Rainey,
Rainey, yes.
Commissioner Smith,
Smith, yes.
Commissioner Story,
Story, yes.
Commissioner Sturgeon,
Sturgeon, yes.
Commissioner Tunnicliff,
Commissioner Tunnicliff, yes.
Webb,
Commissioner Webb, yes.
Commissioner Williams.
Williams, yes.
23 yes, 0 no.
Resolution passes. Late filed resolution number 6-20-30 will be a roll call vote. Resolution appropriating $35,000 from the general purpose school fund for SRO officers. Commissioner Webb,
Move for approval.
Story, second.
Commissioner Story, the second. Commissioner Webb, the motion. School board was 12-4-0 against. Budget committee was 5-4-0 against. Explanation, please.
Mr. Chair, did you say this was a roll call vote?
I'm sorry?
Did you say this was a roll call vote?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Okay, thank you. This is a grant for a new school for the state RO program, and so we're accepting the money, and this will be used at the Creekside Elementary. SRO.
Are there any questions? Hearing none, would you call the roll, please, Jeff?
Commissioner Aiello,
Aiello, yes.
Commissioner Allsbrooks,
Allsbrooks, yes.
Commissioner Beal,
Bill, yes.
Commissioner Bethard,
Beathard, yes.
Commissioner Chalfont, Commissioner Herbert,
Herbert, yes.
Commissioner Hester,
Hester, yes.
Commissioner Hudson,
Hudson, yes.
Commissioner Dwight Jones,
Commissioner Dwight Jones, yes.
Commissioner Ricky Jones,
Commissioner Ricky Jones, yes.
Commissioner Landrum,
Landrum, yes.
Commissioner Lawrence,
Lawrence, yes.
Commissioner Little,
Little, yes.
Commissioner Lathers,
Lathers, yes.
Commissioner Mason,
Mason, yes.
Commissioner Morton, Commissioner Nations,
Nations, yes.
Commissioner Rainey,
Rainey, yes.
Commissioner Smith,
Smith, yes.
Commissioner Story,
Story, yes.
Commissioner Sturgeon,
Sturgeon, yes.
Commissioner Tunnicliff,
Tunnicliff, yes.
Commissioner Webb,
Commissioner Webb, yes.
Commissioner Williams.
Williams, yes.
And Commissioner Morton, I just didn't hear. I just want to make sure you're still with us.
Morton, yes.
Thank you, sir. 23 yes,
Thank you.
0 no.
Resolution passes. Late filed resolution number 6-20-31 will be a roll call vote. Resolution appropriating up to $500,000 transferred from other general purpose school funds to the Central Cafeteria Fund, paying for Central Cafeteria Fund payroll costs incurred during COVID-19. Commissioner Webb,
Move for approval.
is there a second?
Nations second.
Commissioner Nations, the second. Commissioner Webb, the motion. School board was 12-4-0 against. Budget committee was 5-4-0 against. Explanation, please, Commissioner Webb.
This is moving funds, as we said, from the fund balance to pay for cafeteria workers during this time of the pandemic.
Are there any questions?
I have a question, Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead, please.
Thank you. This is Commissioner Lathers. I was just curious how that has operated during the pandemic in terms of cafeteria. Could we just give a little bit more information when school was not in session?
Sure. If I may, Mr. Chairman, I'd be happy
Yes,
to.
please go ahead, please.
One of the commitments we made for the remainder of the school year was to maintain pay for those employees that were regular workers as opposed to those who had inconsistent schedules. Our food service department did do some work, including delivering food at sites on Saturdays. That was actually in conjunction with some charitable institutions locally. The last I checked, we had distributed approximately 150 pounds worth of food. One thing we were able to do that you had not seen much in the news traditionally from school systems was that we gave packages of food to families that included canned goods, dry goods, and produce, rather than what you might have traditionally seen with individual meals for children. But again, as I said earlier, that department did operate at a deficit during those weeks that we were closed.
Thank you very much.
Are there any other questions? Seeing none, call the roll, please, Jeff.
Commissioner Aiello,
Aiello, yes.
Commissioner Allsbrooks,
Osbrooks, yes.
Commissioner Beal,
Bill, yes.
Commissioner Bethard,
Beathard, yes.
Commissioner Chalfont, Commissioner Herbert,
Herbert, yes.
Commissioner Hester,
Hester, yes.
Commissioner Hudson,
Hudson, yes.
Commissioner Dwight Jones,
Commissioner Dwight Jones, yes.
Commissioner Ricky Jones,
Commissioner Ricky Jones, yes.
Commissioner Landrum,
Sorry.
Commissioner Landrum,
Landrum, yes.
Commissioner Lawrence,
Lawrence, yes.
Commissioner Little,
Little, yes.
Commissioner Lathers,
Lathers, yes.
Commissioner Mason,
Mason, yes.
Commissioner Morton,
Morton, yes.
Commissioner Nations,
Nations, yes.
Commissioner Rainey,
Rainey, yes.
Commissioner Smith,
Smith, yes.
Commissioner Story,
Story, yes.
Commissioner Sturgeon,
Sturgeon, yes.
Commissioner Tunnicliff,
Tunnicliff, yes.
Commissioner Webb, yes.
Commissioner Williams.
Williams, yes.
23 yes, 0 no.
Resolution passes. Late filed resolution 6-20-32 will be a roll call vote. Resolution appropriating and amending the 2019-20 County Commission tax relief budget by $60,000. Revenues to come from unappropriated county general funds. Commissioner Webb,
Move for approval.
Nations, second.
Commissioner Nations, the second. Commissioner Webb, the motion. There was no committee action on this one. Explanation, please.
As could be expected during the pandemic, our request for the tax relief funding has gone up, and so we need this money for the budget for the remainder of the fiscal year.
Are there any questions? Seeing none, call the roll, please, Jeff.
Commissioner Aiello,
Aiello, yes.
Commissioner Allsbrooks,
Allsbrooks, yes.
Commissioner Beal,
Bill, yes.
Commissioner Bethard,
Beathard, yes.
Commissioner Chalfont, Commissioner Herbert,
Herbert, yes.
Commissioner Hester,
Excuse me. Hester, yes.
Commissioner Hudson,
Hudson, yes.
Commissioner Dwight Jones,
Commissioner Dwight Jones, yes.
Commissioner Ricky Jones,
Commissioner Ricky Jones, yes.
Commissioner Landrum,
Landrum, yes.
Commissioner Lawrence,
Lawrence, yes.
Commissioner Little,
Little, yes.
Commissioner Lathers,
Lathers, yes.
Commissioner Mason,
Mason, yes.
Commissioner Morton,
Morton, yes.
Commissioner Nations,
Nations, yes.
Commissioner Rainey,
Rainey, yes.
Commissioner Smith, Commissioner Story,
Story, yes.
Commissioner Sturgeon,
Sturgeon, yes.
Commissioner Tunnicliffe,
Tunnicliffe, yes.
Commissioner Webb,
Commissioner Webb, yes.
Commissioner Williams.
Williams, yes.
23 yes, 0 no.
Resolution passes. Resolution 6-20-6 will be a roll call vote. Resolution approving the lease purchase agreement for Chromebooks computers for digital learning. Commissioner Tunnicliffe,
Move for approval.
Story, second.
Commissioner Story the second, Commissioner Tunnicliffe the motion. School Board 12-4-0 against. Education Committee was 6-4-0 against. Budget Committee was 5-4-0 against. Explanation, please, Mr. Tunnicliffe.
Yes, sir. This resolution is allowing the school system to lease, purchase some Chromebooks to help with the situation like we had this year with COVID. And they will also be extending the life of some other ones to allow almost complete coverage of all students in Williamson County. This is a very aggressive rate and price for these Chromebooks.
Are there any questions?
By Landrum, I have a question.
Go ahead, please.
How many Chromebook computers is this? We know the number. What's the number?
Jason, can you answer? Or Leslie, can
Yes,
you
sir.
answer that?
Yes, sir, I can. First, I want to let you know that Ms. Holman corrected me. We actually distributed almost 500,000 pounds of food. I had that wrong, so I've been corrected. Commissioner Landrum, the purchase total is 18,555.
Do students currently have some of these, or how are these dispersed? I guess I'm asking.
Well, currently, we've been experimenting with a device for every student. We had at Independence High School, Brentwood Middle, students that actually carried them home within this year. Our original plan was to distribute that to high school students this coming year before COVID-19 hit. Because we need to prepare for the possibility of full remote learning this fall. Our plan is now to make a Chromebook available to every student. To make that work, in addition to this purchase, as Commissioner Tunnicliffe said, our plan is to extend the life of some additional Chromebooks, about 17,000, so that we can cover that this year for all our students to prepare for that eventuality.
Great, thank you.
Are there any other questions?
Aiello has a question.
All right, go ahead, please.
Is there going to be a similar initiative that I've heard of in Nashville regarding hotspots for increasing use for some of the areas that might not have internet capabilities? That's a really good question. We did a survey of our families. We have about 38,000 total households, representing a little over 41,000 students. And we asked our families what access they had to internet service. About 2% told us that they had no access. About 9% told us that they had sporadic or limited access. So our plan is to fill that gap with a number of items. One is a particular product called the Khajiit that serves as a hotspot, and then work our way down. Those hotspots work off cell towers, so we know that there will still be a small number of families who just don't even have that kind of access in certain parts of the county. We have also been working with Middle Tennessee Electric and some other providers to brainstorm over how to make sure that we have that access available to those families who currently don't have it.
And are there any projected costs either for the internet work that's begun under that and or the monitoring and support of these books moving forward?
We do anticipate for that 2% or so to meet those Khajiits, there will be an additional expense. Our plan is at this point for that to be taken out of this coming year's budget. We have about 100 or so Khajiits that we've been using for special needs here and there up to this point. When I say 2%, I estimate that's going to be between 400 and 800. Mr. Samuels actually has some of the per unit cost I know off the top of his head for that particular hotspot device. Plus there is a monthly fee for it.
Those devices are about $100 for the hardware. A monthly fee is $25 a month.
Do you anticipate the hiring of either new support staff or something to monitor these books or to implement them on a district-wide basis?
I missed the second half of that question. The part I got was, do we anticipate hiring additional support staff? Based on the budgeting needs of the county and the schools this year and the detailed conversations we've had with the mayor and our board's review of the budget, we don't anticipate adding any additional staff other than the necessary growth staff. We cut about $12 million out of our original plan for this coming year's budget as a result of COVID-19. So our plan at this stage is to just find a way with the additional work rather than additional staff. With that being said, as the year progresses, you all know that occasionally we bring budget amendments to you. I can't help but anticipate that has the potential even more so this year than in previous years, but it really obviously is going to have to depend on the revenue side as well.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions? Hearing none, call the roll, please, Jeff.
Commissioner Aiello,
Aiello, yes.
Commissioner Allsbrooks, Commissioner Bill,
yes.
Commissioner Beathard,
Beathard, yes.
Commissioner Chalfant, Commissioner Herbert,
Herbert, yes.
Commissioner Hester,
Hester, yes.
Commissioner Hudson,
Hudson, yes.
Commissioner Dwight Jones,
Commissioner Dwight Jones, yes.
Commissioner Ricky Jones,
Commissioner Ricky Jones, yes.
Commissioner Landrum,
Landrum, yes.
Commissioner Lawrence,
Lawrence, yes.
Commissioner Little,
Commissioner Little, yes.
Commissioner Lathers,
Lathers, yes.
Commissioner Mason,
Mason, yes.
Commissioner Morton,
Morton, yes.
Commissioner Nations,
Nations, yes.
Commissioner Rainey,
Rainey, yes.
Commissioner Smith,
Smith, yes.
Commissioner Story,
Story, yes.
Commissioner Sturgeon,
Sturgeon, yes.
Commissioner Tunnicliffe,
Tunnicliffe, yes.
Commissioner Webb,
Commissioner Webb, yes.
Commissioner Williams,
Oh, yeah, I'm on a computer doing a,
Williams, yes.
all right. And then, let's see, Commissioner Allsbrooks, I saw it looked like she left the meeting. Commissioner Allsbrooks? Okay, so with that, there's 22 yes, 0 no.
Resolution passes. Resolution 6-20-18 will be a roll call vote. Resolution setting the Williamson County hotel motel tax rate for the 2020-21 fiscal year. Commissioner Webb,
Move for approval.
is there a second?
Second.
Lathers, second.
Say, I heard one before Commissioner Lathers, but I didn't catch the name.
Smith.
Commissioner Smith. All right, Commissioner Smith, the second. Budget Committee was 5-4-0 against. Explanation, please.
This is saying the hotel motel tax for the upcoming fiscal year, which we'll leave it on this proposal at 4%, which is the same as it has been for the past year.
Are there any questions? Hearing none, call the roll, please, Jeff.
Commissioner Aiello,
Aiello, yes.
Commissioner Alsbrooks, Commissioner Beal,
Bill, yes.
Commissioner Beathard,
Beathard, yes.
Commissioner Chalfont, Commissioner Herbert,
Herbert, yes.
Commissioner Hester,
Hester, yes.
Commissioner Hudson,
Hudson, yes.
Commissioner Dwight Jones,
Commissioner Jones, yes.
Commissioner Ricky Jones,
Commissioner Ricky Jones, yes.
Commissioner Landrum,
Landrum, yes.
Commissioner Lawrence,
Lawrence, yes.
Commissioner Little,
Little, yes.
Commissioner Lathers,
Lathers, yes.
Commissioner Mason,
Mason, yes.
Commissioner Morton,
Yes.
Commissioner Nations,
Nations, yes.
Commissioner Rainey,
Rainey, yes.
Commissioner Smith,
Smith, yes.
Commissioner Story, Commissioner Sturgeon,
Sturgeon, yes.
Commissioner Tunnicliff,
Tunnicliff, yes.
Commissioner Webb,
Webb, yes.
Commissioner Williams.
Williams, yes.
Okay, so I've got 22 yes, 0 no.
Resolution passes. All right. Resolution 6-20-20 is eligible for unanimous consent. We're getting a lot of echo, so if you could please turn your mics off. Resolution 6-20-20 is eligible for unanimous consent. Resolution authorizing the Williamson County Mayor to execute a license agreement with Verizon to provide space at the Williamson County Administrative Complex to install the IBRD system. Commissioner Webb,
Move for approval by unanimous consent.
Story, second.
Commissioner Story, the second. Property Committee was 6-4-0 against. Budget Committee was 5-4-0 against, 1 abstention. Explanation, please.
Mr. Chair, that was 4-4 and 1 abstention, please.
I'm sorry, I read that wrong.
That's fine. This is putting in the in-building radio distribution device inside the county administrative system by Verizon as they're doing the upgrades to the administrative complex. Mr. Thomas is online if anyone has any specific questions.
Commissioner Sturgeon has a question.
Go ahead.
I'd just like to know what the radio
Question
says.
is directed to Kevin Benson.
All right. Kevin Benson is the one that's been able to help us with the question. Go ahead, Commissioner Sturgeon.
Yeah, I just want to know what a radio distribution system is.
It's the Wi-Fi signal in the administrative complex. It's strengthening that signal.
Ah, okay. Thank you.
Commissioner, this is David Thomas. I can comment.
All right, go ahead.
This is just a system that boosts all the Wi-Fi for the cell phone in the complex at the areas where the signal's weak.
Is this related to 5G?
I'm not certain.
No,
I wasn't
it
really
is.
involved, I understand, but we have weak signal in a lot of areas in the building, and I know that's what it's related to, but I'm not sure if it's about 5G.
Yeah, my understanding is that it is just boosting the signal inside the building. They're installing equipment to boost that signal. Are there any other questions, or does that answer your question?
Chairman, I have one.
All right,
Commissioner
go ahead,
Taylor.
please.
Is this cellular service within the building? Because it's different than Wi-Fi, correct?
Now, they're boosting the Wi-Fi signal for if you are connecting with your cell phone inside, or if you go in with your computer inside the conference room where we have a weak signal, this is going to boost the signal so that you can connect to the county's Wi-Fi system.
Okay.
It could be a cell phone that you're connecting with, or it could be a tablet, or it could be your computer. It's going to boost that Wi-Fi signal that you can connect with.
May I ask why this is being done by Verizon and not our own IT staff with Cisco Wireless Network?
This is David Thomas. I can comment.
All right, go ahead, please.
I don't believe, this came from property management, but I don't believe it has any cost to the county. I think Verizon is doing this. And it's not related to the county's Wi-Fi, it's related to Verizon's data signal.
So it is
people that are using that and not the county Wi-Fi.
Oh, excuse me, I stand corrected.
Chair, Commissioner Story, comment?
Go ahead, please.
Yeah, so from what I understand, a number of buildings, especially in Cool Springs, they'll install a wireless device to where in hotspot areas to where it'll better provide coverage for cell phone usage. And so that's what this is for. Yes, it's to extend cell phone usage in areas that are highly populated and underserved. So it's a lot of companies will provide access to wireless providers to put their antenna in their building because it's a natural hotspot.
It's basically a repeater.
Lack of better terms, yes.
Mr. Chairman, pardon the interruption. Kevin Benson is on my cell and has been trying to address the questions. Would you like for him to try to speak, or has everyone gotten their questions answered?
Commissioner Sturgeon, are you satisfied, or?
I'd like to hear Kevin explain it because I'm confused.
Yeah, I confused the issue. I apologize. So go ahead, please.
Okay, I hope all can hear me, and I apologize for the problem communicating. So basically, Verizon 2 years ago came forward and said, we want to help you help us. And that means that they were going to take the usage out of the towers, which is really where they make their money, from the homeowners in the area, and especially the big facilities throughout our community. And the commissioner spoke very true of that earlier, where they want to come into large facilities and put repeaters, which will then alleviate some of that stress on those towers and provide more income to them. It does provide to us, both our employees through Verizon, a better communication flow, as well as those patrons coming into the county center at no cost at all to the county, either maintenance or future maintenance. So it's really a plus for us overall, and something that we could not pass up. And it's not a cost to the IT section or anybody that we may incur at a later date as people may complain about connectivity in the center. Pending any questions, thank you for the opportunity to speak.
That answers my question. Thank you, Kevin.
Are there any other questions? Hearing none, I assume you're ready to vote. All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the resolution passes. Resolution 6-20-21 is eligible for unanimous consent. A resolution authorizing the Williamson County Mayor to execute an interlocal agreement with the City of Franklin for access to the city's fiber network. Commissioner Webb?
Move for approval by unanimous consent.
Second by Commissioner Story.
Commissioner Story, the second. Property Committee was 6-4-0 against. Budget Committee was 5-4-0 against. Explanation, please.
This is going to allow us to team up with the city of Franklin over to use their existing fiber network rather than trying to install our own fiber network. So we will pay them a fee and save the cost of building our own.
Are there any questions? Hearing none, I assume you're ready to vote. If you're in favor, all in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, nay. Resolution passes. Resolution 6-20-22 is eligible for unanimous consent. Resolution authorizing the Williamson County Mayor to enter into a lease agreement with the Williamson County Rescue Squad. Commissioner Webb.
Move for approval by unanimous consent.
Commissioner Osbrook, second.
Commissioner Webb, the motion. Commissioner Osbrooks, the second. Property Committee was 6-4-0 against. Law Enforcement Public Safety was 5-4-0 against. Budget Committee was 5-4-0 against. Explanation, Commissioner Webb.
This is the agreement that will allow the rescue squad to lease the existing facilities that the county owns.
Are there any questions? Hearing none, I assume you're ready to vote. If you're in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, say nay. Resolution passes. Resolution 6-20-23 is eligible for unanimous consent. Resolution authorizing the Williamson County Mayor to enter into a lease agreement with GAP Community Development Resources, Inc. for use of office space. Commissioner Webb.
Move for approval by unanimous consent.
Commissioner Ricky Jones, second.
Commissioner Ricky Jones, the second. Commissioner Webb, the motion. Property Committee was 6-4-0 against. Budget Committee was 5-4-0 against. Explanation, please.
You can see that this is property that we have. The GAP Community Development Resources is asking for the new lease for this space. And this will be for four individual one-year terms.
Are there any questions? Hearing none, I assume you're ready to vote. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, say nay. Resolution passes. Resolution 6-20-24 is eligible for unanimous consent. Resolution authorizing the Williamson County Mayor to execute a lease agreement with the Gear Foundation Incorporated and the Book Hive LLC. Commissioner Webb.
Move for approval by unanimous consent.
Commissioner Osbrook, second.
Commissioner Osbrooks, the second. Commissioner Webb, the motion. Property Committee was 6-4-0 against. Budget Committee was 5-4-0 against. Explanation, please.
This is for the Gear Foundation and Book Hive to continue their leasing of this unit owned by the county for a one-year term.
Are there any questions? Hearing none, I assume you're ready to vote.
Mr. Chairman, I have a question for maybe the mayor, if he can answer this.
Go ahead, please.
Just wanted to check on the foundation and how they're doing at getting a new location.
Mr. Chairman, if I can answer that, just recently, the David Creekhack of the Gear Foundation indicated their retail operation would not be going forward. I have no knowledge of anyone stepping up and offering a retail operation. This is their internet sales location, and Commissioner Webb indicated it's for a one-year lease. We will be using that property for our criminal justice improvements on Beasley Drive. And this allows him to continue on with his wholesale or internet sale business that he has.
Okay, so the retail is going away and those people are gonna lose their jobs?
Mr. Chairman, they've lost their lease and at the location they were at. And to my knowledge, they have no other place to go at this time.
Are there any other questions?
Chairman, this is Commissioner Mason. I have a question.
Go ahead, please.
Mayor Anderson, where we left that situation with them is that the city of Franklin had not done the zoning request in their favor. Is that correct? We hadn't even gotten to the point where we could vote on it because it wasn't zoned yet.
That is, Mr. Chairman, that is a true statement. Since there was no appetite on our part to override or engage in that, there was Franklin never had to step up and either change the zoning or not.
Are there any other questions? Hearing none, I assume you're ready to vote. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, say nay. Resolution passes. Resolution 6-20-25 will be a roll call vote. Resolution authorizing the expenditure of funds collected from the 0.5% increase in the local option sales tax and use tax and amending the 2019-2020 budget. Commissioner Webb,
Move for approval.
is there a second?
Story second.
Commissioner Story, the second. Commissioner Webb, the motion. Budget Committee was 5-4-0 against. Explanation, Commissioner Webb.
This is the increase in the sales tax that we pass, so this authorizes these funds that are collected to be spent. If there are any particular questions, Nina will be glad to answer them.
Are there any questions? Hearing none, I assume you're ready to vote. Call the roll, please, Jeff.
Commissioner Aiello,
Aiello, yes.
okay, thanks, sir. Commissioner Allsbrooks,
Allsbrooks, yes.
Commissioner Beal,
Bill, yes.
Commissioner Bethard, Commissioner Chalfont, Commissioner Herbert,
Herbert, yes.
Commissioner Hester,
Hester, yes.
Commissioner Hudson,
Hudson, yes.
Commissioner Dwight Jones,
Commissioner Dwight Jones, yes.
Commissioner Ricky Jones,
Commissioner Ricky Jones, yes.
Commissioner Landrum,
Landrum, yes.
Commissioner Lawrence,
I don't have
Yes.
resolutions. I'm not the chair of any committee.
Commissioner Little,
Commissioner Little, yes.
okay, thank you. Commissioner Lathers,
Lathers, yes.
Commissioner Mason,
Mason, yes.
I don't have any resolutions.
Morton, yes.
Commissioner
I'm not
Nations,
the chair of any committee.
Nations, yes.
Rainey,
Rainey, yes.
Commissioner Smith,
I just voted yes on a resolution.
Smith, yes.
Voting on.
Commissioner Story, Commissioner Story,
Story, yes.
okay. Commissioner Sturgeon,
Sturgeon, yes.
Commissioner Tunnicliff,
Tunnicliff, yes.
Commissioner Webb,
Webb, yes.
Commissioner Williams,
Williams, yes.
Commissioner Bethard.
Bethard, yes.
Thanks, sir. That's 23 yes, 0 no.
Resolution passes. Okay. This is the late filed resolutions that you all should have just recently received in your email. late filed resolution 6-20-33. It will require a roll call vote. Resolution to overrule the denial of the Franklin Planning Commission's action regarding the proposed Williamson County Animal Center. Commissioner Webb,
Move for approval.
is there a second?
Commissioner Osbrook, second.
Commissioner Osbrook's the second. There was no committee action on this. Explanation, please.
What happens here is the City of Franklin's Municipal Planning Commission has put some items in place that the county deems that will harm the new animal center that we're building. And so state law gives us the authority to deny those plans and move ahead with our own plans. And that is what this resolution does. If you'll read there, we have determined that is not in our interest, of the county's interest. The mayor has been working on this, and he and Mr. Cross, I believe, may be answer any specific questions.
Rogers, Mayor, do you have any comments you'd like to make on this?
I think Jim Cross is on there. He can give an explanation. As you know, he's our project, and he's overseeing this whole thing. And let him explain it if you don't mind, Mr. Chairman. He's waited all evening.
All right, go ahead, Mr. Cross. If you are not coming through. Jim, it looks like it's looking for a headset. Have you got a headset? What it's set to? Still can't hear.
Mr. Chairman, if Bobby Cook is on here, he can explain it.
Mr. Chairman, this is Bobby Cook.
Go ahead, please.
Basically, what you have before you is, as has already been discussed, we're in the preliminary stages of the Animal Control Center construction. We brought our plans before the Planning Commission. They put 3 conditions on the approval that we just could not comply with. They understand that. They understand that the reason they did this was they knowing that we have this ability to overrule it. They just did not have an option not to include those conditions. The conditions are basically the location of the facility, and then the connections, a dual connection to the property owners adjacent to the property we're using. Like I said, this is not controversial. The Planning Commission is well aware of this. We've got this authority and plan to use it. Be glad to answer any question.
Do we have any questions?
I believe Mr. Cross is available now.
Jim, do you have anything to add?
I'm sorry, I've sat here all night and I should have already been connected. I apologize for that. I could not explain any better than Bobby did. These are the 2 items that the Planning Commission and the City of Franklin is well aware of what we're doing. And one item was a new item they put in their zoning ordinance beginning this January about the parking in front of the building, which didn't contemplate a piece of property our size and a building at our location. So I can't really add anything additional to that, but I'll be happy to answer any questions.
All right, do we have any questions? Thank you, Jim. Are there any questions? Hearing none, I assume you're ready to vote. Call the roll, please, Jeff.
Commissioner Aiello,
Aiello, yes.
Commissioner Osbrooks,
Osbrooks, yes.
Commissioner Beal,
Yes.
Commissioner Bethard,
Bethard, yes.
Commissioner Chalfont, Commissioner Herbert,
Herbert, yes.
Commissioner Hester,
Hester, yes.
Commissioner Hudson,
Hudson, yes.
Commissioner Dwight Jones,
Commissioner Dwight Jones, yes.
Commissioner Ricky Jones,
Commissioner Ricky Jones, yes.
Commissioner Landrum,
Landrum, yes.
Commissioner Lawrence,
Lawrence, yes.
Commissioner Little,
Little, yes.
Commissioner Lathers,
Lathers, yes.
Commissioner Mason,
Mason, yes.
Commissioner Morton,
Yes.
Commissioner Nations,
Nations, yes.
Commissioner Rainey,
Rainey, yes.
Commissioner Smith,
Smith, yes.
Commissioner Story,
Story, yes.
Commissioner Sturgeon,
Sturgeon, yes.
Commissioner Tunnicliff,
Yes. Tunnicliff.
Commissioner Webb,
Webb, yes.
Commissioner Williams.
Williams, yes.
23 yes, 0 no.
Resolution passes. I think that is the end of the agenda. Mr. Mayor, is there anything we ought to say about our next meeting, or do we need to wait on that?
Mr. Chairman, as many of you know, we are in the process of not only the COVID, but we're also looking at renovating some of the county commission room, and we're just trying to dot our i's and cross our t's. It is our goal to get you all back together again, even though this is convenient. It's kind of boring waiting on 23 of you to say yes or no as the process goes through. But I do appreciate the platform that we've got. As we get a little closer, we will either have the county commission next meeting, which will be an all-day meeting, starting at 9 o'clock in the morning on July the 13th. July the 13th at 9 a.m. So it's our intent to get you all back together again. If we're not able to have it in the county commission room, then we are looking at another location, possibly the enrichment center. We're not sure how we're going to be able to feed you other than through a box lunch. As you know, cafeteria style food is out for the time being. As we get a little closer, Diane will be reaching out to you as we dot our i's and cross our t's. But other than that, thank you for enduring the 2 hours and 7 minutes. You did a good job, Tommy, and all of you that sponsored them, and you kept us going, and without a lot of lag. I'm not sure we'd have completed the meeting in the county commission room in 2 hours and 7 or 8 minutes. So good job, Tommy.
Thank you, sir. Are there anybody else have any comments or questions?
Mr. Chair, Commissioner Webb, motion to adjourn.
Second. Landrum.
Okay, we are adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you, Tommy.
Thank you.